What is the meaning of life? Is it hidden in the pursuit of happiness, success, or love? Or does it lie somewhere deeper, in the shadows of human suffering, the weight of guilt, and the quest for redemption? Few writers have explored these questions with the intensity and depth of Fyodor Dostoevsky, a literary genius whose works continue to resonate profoundly with readers across the globe. Dostoevsky didn't offer simple answers. Instead, he painted a rich, complex tapestry of human existence, a world where meaning isn't found in perfection but in the struggles, contradictions, and moments of transcendence that define our lives. Imagine a man who faced death only to be spared at the last moment. A man exiled to Siberian labor camps where he witnessed the darkest corners of the human soul. This is the crucible that shaped Dostoevsky's worldview, a perspective steeped in pain, love, faith, and doubt. His writing doesn't just tell stories. It holds a mirror to our deepest fears, desires, and contradictions. Through his characters, Dostoevsky asks us to confront the very questions we often avoid. What does it mean to be free? Can suffering lead to redemption? And how do faith and doubt coexist within the human heart? In this video, we'll delve into Dostoevsky's exploration of life's meaning, a journey through his philosophy where psychology, ethics, and religion intertwine. Dostoevsky's works are not just literature. They are a map of the human soul. From the existential torment of Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment to the spiritual dilemmas of the Karamazov brothers, Dostoevsky challenges us to rethink what it means to live authentically. He invites us to embrace life's complexities and contradictions, to find purpose not in certainty but in the relentless search for truth. Let's begin with a powerful thought. Dostoevsky once wrote, "Man is a mystery. It must be solved. And if you spend your whole life solving it, don't say you've wasted your time." In this statement lies the essence of his philosophy. He believed that life's meaning isn't something you arrive at. It's something you uncover through a lifetime of questioning, struggling, and seeking. But what does this mean in practice? And how can his insights guide us in a world that often feels fragmented and chaotic? We'll explore how Dostoevsky's understanding of faith and doubt reveals the delicate balance between hope and despair. He doesn't shy away from asking difficult questions about God, morality, and the existence of evil. Through the character of Ivan Karamazov in the Brothers Karamazov, he confronts us with the brutal reality of suffering. If God exists, why is the world filled with so much pain? Yet, through Alyosha Karamazov, Dostoevsky offers an answer, not a definitive one, but one rooted in love, compassion, and the beauty of human connection. This video will also take you into the mind of Raskolnikov, the tormented protagonist of Crime and Punishment. His descent into guilt and madness after committing murder is not just a story of crime. It's a journey into the depths of human freedom, morality, and the possibility of redemption. Dostoevsky believed that suffering was a teacher, a means of purifying the soul and discovering a deeper truth about ourselves. But is suffering truly necessary? And if so, how can we find meaning in our own struggles? As we unravel these themes, we'll see how Dostoevsky's Orthodox Christian faith shaped his views on the human condition. But his perspective wasn't confined to religion. He understood that faith is always accompanied by doubt, that light is most clearly seen against the backdrop of darkness. His works remind us that faith isn't the absence of questioning, it's the courage to believe in something greater even amidst uncertainty. But Dostoevsky's genius goes beyond theology and philosophy. His psychological insights are astonishingly relevant to our lives today. He understood the complexity of human nature, the inner conflicts that drive our actions, and the paradoxes that make us who we are. Through his characters, he shows us that freedom isn't simply the ability to choose, it's the responsibility to face the consequences of those choices. And while his characters often grapple with despair, they also reveal the possibility of hope, connection, and transformation. Dostoevsky's philosophy is as relevant now as it was in the 19th century. In a world obsessed with quick fixes and easy answers, his works remind us that the search for meaning is not a destination but a journey. They encourage us to confront the hardest truths about ourselves and to find beauty in the struggle. This is not a video about Dostoevsky's life. It's a journey into his mind, a place where philosophy, psychology, and spirituality collide to create a vision of life that is as challenging as it is inspiring. Stay with us as we explore how Dostoevsky's profound understanding of the human soul can illuminate our own lives. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or someone simply searching for answers, Dostoevsky's works have something to offer. They don't promise clarity or certainty, but they do promise depth, insight, and the possibility of transformation. By the end of this video, you may not have all the answers, but you will have a deeper appreciation for the questions that make life worth living. Freedom, as explored by Dostoevsky, is one of the most compelling and paradoxical themes in his works. Unlike the often idealized or simplistic interpretations of freedom as a purely positive or empowering force, Dostoevsky paints a far more intricate and conflicting picture. For him, true freedom encompasses not only the potential for greatness, but also the possibility of chaos, destruction, and self-sabotage. This duality forms the cornerstone of his exploration of human existence and the meaning of life. In Notes from Underground, Dostoevsky delves deeply into the irrationality of human behavior as a crucial component of freedom. The protagonist, an unnamed and deeply self-loathing narrator, embodies the contradictions of free will. He knowingly makes choices that are against his best interests, such as rejecting social norms and engaging in self-destructive behavior. His rationale? To assert his independence from societal expectations and logical constraints. By intentionally acting irrationally, he feels he reclaims a form of freedom that transcends the deterministic frameworks of logic and reason. Consider the narrator's reflection on pain and humiliation. He willingly subjects himself to situations that deepen his suffering, all while being acutely aware of the harm he is causing himself. For instance, when he awkwardly forces an interaction with former acquaintances who disdain him, the result is predictably humiliating. Yet, he does so to affirm his agency, his ability to make a choice even if that choice is detrimental. This seemingly absurd act is Dostoevsky's critique of utilitarianism and rational egoism, which argue that humans invariably act in ways that maximize their happiness or utility. Dostoevsky rejects this notion, suggesting that the human spirit is far too complex to be reduced to such mechanical calculations. The conflict of freedom as a double-edged sword is central to Dostoevsky's philosophy. Freedom allows individuals to create, to love, and to transcend their limitations, but it also enables acts of evil, cruelty, and moral degradation. Dostoevsky was particularly fascinated by humanity's capacity to embrace both. This tension is not merely theoretical. It reflects real-life choices and dilemmas. Imagine a modern scenario where someone quits a stable, high-paying job to pursue an uncertain artistic passion. On one hand, this decision represents a courageous assertion of personal freedom, a refusal to conform to societal expectations. On the other hand, it might lead to financial hardship and feelings of regret. Dostoevsky's insight lies in acknowledging that both outcomes are intrinsic to the exercise of true freedom. Freedom's inherent contradictions also extend to the moral realm. In Crime and Punishment, Dostoevsky examines this through the character of Raskolnikov. Here, freedom takes on an ethical dimension, the belief that extraordinary individuals have the right to transcend conventional moral laws. Raskolnikov murders 2 women to test this theory, believing that such an act is justified if it serves a greater purpose. However, the aftermath reveals the psychological and spiritual consequences of this interpretation of freedom. His guilt consumes him, unraveling his sense of superiority and forcing him to confront the limitations of his ideology. What Dostoevsky brilliantly captures in Raskolnikov's descent is the inner turmoil that arises from unbridled freedom. While the act of murder was meant to liberate him from moral constraints, it instead entraps him in a web of self-doubt and existential anguish. This highlights the paradox that freedom, when divorced from responsibility and compassion, can lead to profound personal and moral disarray. In contemporary terms, consider debates around ethical dilemmas such as technological advancements that push the boundaries of what is permissible. Just because we have the freedom to act doesn't mean we should. Navigating the moral implications of such freedom is where Dostoevsky's insights remain deeply relevant. Moreover, Dostoevsky's portrayal of freedom challenges the notion that it is inherently desirable or easy to bear. True freedom, as he illustrates, is often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of responsibility and existential weight. This is vividly depicted in the Brothers Karamazov, where Ivan Karamazov struggles with the implications of his intellectual freedom. Ivan's rejection of God and moral absolutes frees him from traditional constraints, yet it plunges him into despair and nihilism. His infamous assertion that, if God does not exist, everything is permitted, encapsulates the terror of unbounded freedom. Without a higher moral order, the individual bears the full burden of defining right and wrong, a task that can be both liberating and paralyzing. This struggle is mirrored in everyday life, where people often grapple with the consequences of their choices in a world that offers boundless options. Take, for instance, the phenomenon of decision fatigue in modern consumer culture. While having an abundance of choices is celebrated as a hallmark of freedom, it can also lead to anxiety, regret, and a sense of paralysis. Dostoevsky's works remind us that freedom is not simply about having choices, but about how we navigate the responsibilities and consequences that come with them. At the heart of Dostoevsky's exploration of freedom is a profound respect for the complexity of the human condition. He does not shy away from portraying the darker aspects of freedom, the irrationality, the suffering, the potential for evil, because he sees them as integral to what it means to be human, to truly live. According to Dostoevsky, is to confront these contradictions head-on. It is to embrace the chaos and uncertainty of freedom while striving for meaning and authenticity in the face of it. This perspective is especially poignant in today's world, where the quest for personal freedom often collides with collective responsibilities. From debates over individual rights versus public health during a pandemic to the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, Dostoevsky's insights into the dual nature of freedom resonate with striking clarity. His works challenge us to consider not just what we are free to do, but what we ought to do, and to recognize that the answers are rarely straightforward. Ultimately, Dostoevsky's portrayal of freedom is not a call to abandon it, but to engage with it thoughtfully and courageously. Freedom, in his view, is both a gift and a trial of force that defines our humanity while testing our ability to wield it wisely. By embracing its contradictions and complexities, we come closer to understanding not just what it means to be free, but what it means to truly live. Suffering, for Dostoevsky, is not merely an unavoidable aspect of life, but a profound tool for understanding oneself and the deeper meaning of existence. His philosophy positions suffering as both a crucible for self-discovery and a path to spiritual and moral redemption. This perspective is vividly expressed in his works, where characters undergo harrowing trials that ultimately lead to transformation or, at the very least, a deeper awareness of their humanity. In Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov embodies Dostoevsky's belief in the transformative power of suffering. Raskolnikov murders two women, believing he is justified because of his self-imposed superiority and a theory that extraordinary individuals can transcend conventional morality. However, the act does not liberate him as he expected. Instead, it enslaves him to his own guilt and inner torment. His suffering becomes inescapable, haunting him in every waking moment and through restless dreams. This psychological punishment is far worse than any external sentence. It strips away his arrogance and self-deception, forcing him to confront the gravity of his actions and his true nature. Dostoevsky uses Raskolnikov's suffering as a tool for moral and spiritual growth. The journey through guilt and despair gradually leads him to redemption, symbolized by his confession and eventual embrace of Sonia, a character representing compassion and faith. Sonia's acceptance of suffering through her own trials working as a prostitute to support her family reflects Dostoevsky's religious conviction that suffering is a way to purify the soul and draw closer to God. For Dostoevsky, suffering is not simply punitive, it is redemptive. It compels individuals to confront their flaws, seek forgiveness, and forge genuine connections with others. This notion of suffering resonates in everyday life, Think of situations where people experience profound loss, such as the death of a loved one or the collapse of a long-held dream. While the immediate pain may feel unbearable, many find that these experiences force them to reevaluate their priorities, strengthen their resilience, or foster empathy for others undergoing similar hardships. Dostoevsky's characters often mirror these real-life transformations, showing that suffering, while deeply painful, can lead to a greater understanding of oneself and the world. Dostoevsky's religious views further deepen his exploration of suffering. As an Orthodox Christian, he believed that suffering was integral to the human relationship with God. It is through suffering that people confront their limitations, acknowledge their need for divine grace, and ultimately find redemption. This perspective is evident in his later works, particularly in the Brothers Karamazov, where the character of Father Zosima articulates the idea that suffering is a means of purifying the soul and cultivating love for others. Zosima teaches that embracing suffering with humility and patience can lead to spiritual enlightenment and a closer relationship with God. From a theological standpoint, Dostoevsky's view aligns with the Christian concept of kenosis, or self-emptying. By enduring suffering, individuals shed their ego and pride, opening themselves to God's will and the possibility of spiritual rebirth. This idea finds a powerful parallel in modern therapeutic practices. For example, cognitive behavioral therapy often emphasizes confronting painful emotions and experiences to achieve healing and growth, just as Raskolnikov's suffering forces him to face his guilt and achieve redemption. People in therapy are encouraged to engage with their pain rather than avoid it, leading to personal transformation. Suffering also serves as a unifying force in Dostoevsky's philosophy. It is the one experience that transcends class, culture, and creed, making it a universal human condition. In Notes from Underground, the narrator reflects on his isolation and misery, suggesting that shared suffering could bridge the gap between individuals. This idea resonates in contemporary discussions about empathy and solidarity. For instance, during global crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic, collective suffering highlighted the interconnectedness of humanity and inspired acts of compassion and mutual support. Dostoevsky's works remind us that while suffering can isolate, it also has the potential to unite, fostering a sense of shared humanity. However, Dostoevsky does not romanticize suffering or suggest that it is inherently virtuous. Instead, he presents it as a reality that must be faced with courage and purpose. The way individuals respond to suffering determines its impact on their lives. Some characters in his works, such as Ivan Karamazov in the Brothers Karamazov, reject the notion that suffering has meaning. Ivan's rebellion against God is rooted in his inability to reconcile the existence of suffering, particularly the suffering of innocent children, with the idea of a just and loving deity. His intellectual rejection of suffering leads to despair and spiritual emptiness, contrasting sharply with characters like Sonia or Alyosha, who find meaning and redemption through their trials. This duality reflects a broader truth about human experiences of suffering. While some people emerge from hardship stronger and more compassionate, others may become bitter or disillusioned. Dostoevsky's nuanced portrayal of suffering acknowledges this complexity, offering no simplistic answers, but instead encouraging readers to grapple with the questions it raises. In contemporary terms, Dostoevsky's philosophy on suffering remains profoundly relevant. Consider the challenges of mental health, where individuals often endure invisible battles with anxiety, depression, or trauma. While these experiences are undeniably painful, they can also serve as catalysts for personal growth and self-awareness. Support groups, counseling, and peer networks often emphasize the transformative potential of shared suffering, echoing Dostoevsky's belief in its unifying power. Similarly, social movements born out of collective suffering, such as those advocating for civil rights or climate justice, demonstrate how pain can be harnessed to inspire change and foster solidarity. Dostoevsky's insights also challenge the modern obsession with happiness and the avoidance of discomfort. In a culture that often equates success with pleasure and fulfillment, His works remind us that suffering is not antithetical to a meaningful life, but an integral part of it. This perspective encourages a more holistic understanding of well-being, one that includes the acceptance of hardship as a natural and necessary aspect of human existence. Ultimately, Dostoevsky's exploration of suffering is a testament to his profound understanding of the human condition. He recognized that pain, while difficult, is often the gateway to deeper truths about ourselves, our relationships, and our place in the world. By confronting suffering rather than fleeing from it, we open ourselves to transformation, empathy, and the possibility of redemption. In this way, Dostoevsky's philosophy offers both a challenge and a comfort. A challenge to embrace the hardships of life with courage, and a comfort in the knowledge that these hardships can lead to profound personal and spiritual growth. Dostoevsky's treatment of faith and doubt presents a deeply nuanced and intricate view of human existence, where these seemingly opposing forces are not just in conflict but inextricably intertwined. His works, especially the Brothers Karamazov, explore this dynamic with unparalleled depth, examining how faith and doubt shape our understanding of life's meaning. Rather than offering clear-cut answers, Dostoevsky portrays the struggle between these forces as central to the human condition, suggesting that both are necessary for a truly authentic and meaningful existence. In the Brothers Karamazov, Ivan Karamazov embodies the voice of doubt. His skepticism is not born from mere rebellion, but from an intense moral outrage at the suffering and injustice in the world. One of his most striking arguments comes in his conversation with Alyosha, where he recounts horrifying stories of innocent children suffering at the hands of others. Ivan does not deny the existence of God outright. Instead, he questions the morality of a divine plan that permits such atrocities. His rejection of God is not intellectual atheism but a deeply emotional refusal to accept a world where suffering is a price for salvation. This nuanced perspective reflects Dostoevsky's own grappling with the problem of theodicy, the justification of God's goodness in the face of evil. Alyosha, Ivan's younger brother, represents faith, but his faith is not blind or unquestioning. Alyosha is not untouched by doubt. Rather, he chooses to confront it with love and compassion. His faith is deeply tied to his relationships with others and his commitment to living a life of kindness and humility. Through Alyosha, Dostoevsky illustrates a faith that is active and relational, one that finds meaning not in abstract theology, but in the day-to-day practice of love and forgiveness. Alyosha's response to Ivan's doubt is not to argue or convince, but to listen and empathize, embodying the Christian ideal of loving one's neighbor even amidst uncertainty. The interplay between Ivan's doubt and Alyosha's faith highlights one of Dostoevsky's most profound insights, that the tension between these forces is not something to be resolved but embraced. Faith without doubt risks becoming dogmatic and disconnected from reality, while doubt without faith can lead to nihilism and despair. Dostoevsky suggests that meaning arises not from choosing one over the other, but from the struggle to hold both in balance. This duality is reflected in everyday life, where people often find themselves oscillating between belief and skepticism. For instance, a person may feel a deep sense of purpose when volunteering to help others, but simultaneously question the fairness of a world that necessitates such acts of charity. This tension does not diminish the value of their actions. Instead, it underscores the complexity of human experience. Dostoevsky's exploration of faith and doubt is also deeply personal, reflecting his own spiritual journey. A devout Orthodox Christian, he nevertheless wrestled with profound questions about God and the meaning of suffering. This internal conflict is evident in his characters, who often mirror his own doubts and convictions. For example, Ivan's intellectual rebellion against God can be seen as an extension of Dostoevsky's own struggles, while Alyosha represents the redemptive power of faith that Dostoevsky ultimately embraced. This autobiographical element adds a layer of authenticity to his work, making his portrayal of faith and doubt resonate on a deeply human level. One of Dostoevsky's most significant contributions to the discourse on faith and doubt is his refusal to offer easy answers. In a world that often seeks certainty, whether through religion or science, Dostoevsky's insistence on the value of ambiguity is both challenging and liberating. He suggests that the search for meaning is not about arriving at definitive conclusions, but about engaging with the questions themselves. This perspective is particularly relevant in contemporary society, where debates about religion, morality, and the purpose of life often polarize into rigid dichotomies. Dostoevsky's work encourages a more nuanced approach, one that acknowledges the validity of both belief and skepticism. The characters in the Brothers Karamazov illustrate this complexity through their individual journeys. Ivan's intellectual rebellion leads him to a profound existential crisis, culminating in the famous Grand Inquisitor chapter, where he imagines Christ returning to earth only to be condemned by the Church. This parable encapsulates Ivan's critique of organized religion as a force that stifles true freedom and perpetuates suffering. Yet, even in his rebellion, Ivan cannot entirely escape the pull of faith, as evidenced by his torment and longing for answers. His struggle is deeply relatable, reflecting the modern experience of questioning traditional beliefs while yearning for meaning and connection. Alyosha, in contrast, finds meaning through his relationships and acts of kindness. His faith is not a rejection of doubt, but a response to it, a choice to embrace love and hope despite the uncertainties of life. This active, relational faith offers a compelling alternative to both dogmatic certainty and nihilistic despair. For Alyosha, the meaning of life is not found in abstract philosophical debates, but in the simple yet profound act of loving others. This idea resonates with contemporary discussions about the importance of community and empathy in finding purpose. Dostoevsky's treatment of faith and doubt also extends to his portrayal of redemption. In his worldview, redemption is not about erasing doubt or suffering, but about transforming them into opportunities for growth and connection. This idea is exemplified in the character of Zosima, the elder monk whose teachings emphasize the power of love and forgiveness. Zosima's philosophy is not naive or simplistic. It acknowledges the reality of human sin and suffering while affirming the possibility of grace and renewal. His belief that each is responsible for all underscores Dostoevsky's vision of a deeply interconnected humanity, where faith and doubt coexist as part of a shared journey toward meaning. This interplay between faith and doubt is not limited to religious contexts. It also has profound implications for secular understandings of meaning and morality. In a world increasingly shaped by scientific discoveries and technological advancements, questions about the purpose of life and the nature of human existence remain as pressing as ever. Dostoevsky's insights challenge the assumption that these questions can be fully answered by reason alone, emphasizing the importance of grappling with uncertainty and embracing the complexity of human experience. For example, consider the ethical dilemmas posed by advances in artificial intelligence. The development of AI raises profound questions about what it means to be human and the moral responsibilities we bear towards sentient beings, whether human or artificial. These questions often invoke a mix of faith in technological progress and doubt about its implications. Dostoevsky's philosophy reminds us that such tensions are not obstacles to be overcome, but essential aspects of the human condition, inviting us to engage deeply with these challenges rather than seeking simplistic solutions. Dostoevsky's exploration of faith and doubt ultimately points to a vision of meaning that is both deeply personal and profoundly communal. It is personal in the sense that each individual must confront their own beliefs and uncertainties, navigating the tensions between them in their unique way. It is communal because the struggle with faith and doubt is a shared human experience, one that connects us to others across cultures and generations. This duality reflects Dostoevsky's belief in the interconnectedness of all life, where each person's journey contributes to the collective search for understanding. In this light, Dostoevsky's works can be seen as a call to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, including its doubts and contradictions. By doing so, we not only deepen our understanding of ourselves, but also foster a sense of solidarity with others who share in the same struggles. This perspective offers a powerful antidote to the polarization and alienation that often characterize contemporary life, encouraging a more compassionate and inclusive approach to questions of faith, doubt, and meaning. Through his nuanced portrayal of these themes, Dostoevsky provides a timeless reminder that the search for meaning is not about finding definitive answers, but about engaging with the questions and with each other in a spirit of humility and hope. Dostoevsky's philosophy places a profound emphasis on human connection as the cornerstone of finding meaning in life. He rejects the notion that meaning can be discovered in isolation, instead asserting that it emerges through relationships with others. His works explore this idea with great nuance, illustrating how love, compassion, and a sense of shared responsibility can transform individuals and their understanding of life's purpose. By highlighting the necessity of connection, Dostoevsky challenges the modern tendency toward individualism and underscores the communal nature of human existence. In Crime and Punishment, Dostoevsky presents the transformative power of connection through the relationship between Raskolnikov and Sonia. Raskolnikov, who commits murder in an attempt to assert his superiority and independence, isolates himself from society in the aftermath of his crime. His internal torment and alienation are the inevitable consequences of his misguided belief that he can exist apart from the moral fabric that binds people together. It is only through his relationship with Sonia, a character who embodies compassion and faith, that Raskolnikov begins to confront his guilt and seek redemption. Sonia's unwavering love and forgiveness provide him with a path back to humanity, illustrating Dostoevsky's belief that meaning is found in the bonds we form with others. This dynamic is not limited to the dramatic context of crime and punishment. In everyday life, we often see how relationships can provide a sense of purpose and belonging. Consider a person who has experienced failure or loss. While the initial reaction might be to withdraw and wallow in self-pity, the support of a loved one, a friend, partner, or even a stranger can reignite their sense of worth and motivate them to rebuild. Dostoevsky's works capture this universal truth, showing that even the most broken individuals can find healing and meaning through connection. Dostoevsky extends this idea to the broader concept of community. He views humans not as isolated entities, but as integral parts of a larger social organism. Each person, in his view, is a piece of the whole, and meaning arises from recognizing and fulfilling one's role within this collective. This perspective challenges the notion of radical individualism, which often prioritizes personal success and self-sufficiency over communal well-being. Dostoevsky's philosophy reminds us that our lives gain significance when we contribute to something greater than ourselves, whether it be a family, a neighborhood, or society as a whole. One of the most poignant examples of this idea can be found in the Brothers Karamazov, where Father Zosima articulates a vision of interconnectedness rooted in love and mutual responsibility. He teaches that each is responsible for all, suggesting that our actions ripple outward, affecting those around us in ways we may not fully understand. This concept resonates deeply in contemporary contexts, such as environmental activism or social justice movements, where collective action is necessary to address issues that no individual can solve alone. Dostoevsky's emphasis on communal responsibility encourages us to see ourselves as part of an interconnected web, where the meaning of our actions is amplified by their impact on others. Dostoevsky also explores the consequences of neglecting these connections. Characters who isolate themselves, whether out of pride, fear, or despair, often descend into nihilism and despair. In Notes from Underground, the narrator's refusal to engage meaningfully with others leaves him trapped in a cycle of bitterness and self-loathing. His isolation becomes both a symptom and a cause of his existential anguish, illustrating Dostoevsky's belief that true fulfillment is unattainable without genuine human connection. This insight is especially relevant today, as increasing rates of loneliness and disconnection highlight the dangers of a culture that often values independence over interdependence. Modern psychology supports Dostoevsky's view of connection as essential to well-being. Studies consistently show that strong social bonds contribute to better mental health, greater resilience, and longer life expectancy. For instance, people who maintain close relationships with family and friends are less likely to suffer from depression and anxiety. Similarly, communities with high levels of social cohesion tend to experience lower rates of crime and greater overall happiness. These findings align with Dostoevsky's belief that humans are inherently social beings whose sense of meaning is deeply tied to their relationships with others. Dostoevsky's emphasis on connection also extends to acts of compassion and selflessness. He portrays love as a force that transcends self-interest and creates a sense of unity among people. In the Brothers Karamazov, Alyosha exemplifies this ideal through his unwavering kindness and willingness to serve others. His actions demonstrate that love is not merely an emotion but a deliberate choice to prioritize the well-being of others. This perspective challenges contemporary notions of love as primarily romantic or transactional, instead framing it as a spiritual and ethical commitment to the common good. The transformative power of love and connection is evident in real-life examples as well. Consider the role of community support in times of crisis, such as natural disasters or global pandemics. In these situations, individuals often come together to provide aid, share resources, and offer emotional support. These acts of solidarity not only alleviate suffering but also foster a sense of purpose and belonging, reinforcing Dostoevsky's idea that meaning emerges from our relationships with others. Even small, everyday gestures like helping a neighbor, volunteering, or simply listening to someone in need can have a profound impact on both the giver and the recipient, creating a ripple effect of connection and kindness. At the heart of Dostoevsky's philosophy is the idea that connection requires vulnerability and openness. Building meaningful relationships involves taking risks, confronting fears of rejection, and embracing the imperfections of others. This is particularly evident in Crime and Punishment, where Raskolnikov's path to redemption involves confessing his crime and accepting the judgment of others. By exposing his vulnerabilities, he reconnects with humanity and begins to rebuild his life. This process mirrors the challenges many people face in their own lives. Whether it's admitting a mistake, asking for help, or forgiving someone who has caused pain, Dostoevsky's works remind us that these moments of vulnerability are not weaknesses but opportunities for growth and deeper connection. Dostoevsky also recognizes that connection is not always easy or harmonious. Relationships often involve conflict, misunderstanding, and compromise. However, he views these struggles as integral to the human experience. In the Brothers Karamazov, the tensions between the Karamazov brothers reflect the complexity of familial relationships, where love and rivalry coexist. Through their interactions, Dostoevsky shows that connection is not about eliminating conflict, but about navigating it with empathy and mutual respect. This perspective is particularly relevant in a world where differences in opinion and identity often lead to division. Dostoevsky's works encourage us to embrace these differences as opportunities for dialogue and understanding rather than barriers to connection. Ultimately, Dostoevsky's exploration of connection underscores its central role in creating a meaningful life. By forging bonds with others, we not only enrich our own lives but also contribute to the well-being of those around us. This reciprocal relationship between individual and community reflects Dostoevsky's belief in the interconnectedness of all human beings. His works challenge us to move beyond self-centered pursuits and recognize the value of compassion, collaboration, and shared responsibility. In doing so, they offer a timeless reminder that the search for meaning is not a solitary journey but a collective endeavor. Dostoevsky's view of life as a continuous journey of exploration is one of the most profound aspects of his philosophy. He rejects definitive answers to the question of life's meaning, emphasizing instead the process of seeking, struggling, and striving for understanding. In his works, Dostoevsky presents life as inherently complex, a dynamic interplay of contradictions, conflicts, and moments of transcendence. This perspective challenges the idea that life's purpose is a static goal to be achieved, and instead frames it as a transformative experience shaped by discovery and growth. One of Dostoevsky's most memorable statements captures this sentiment perfectly. Man is a mystery. It must be solved. And if you spend your whole life solving it, don't say you've wasted your time. For Dostoevsky, the human experience is defined by its complexity. People are not simply rational beings driven by logic and self-interest, nor are they purely emotional creatures ruled by passion and instinct. Instead, They are a profound mixture of both, capable of great altruism and terrible selfishness, immense courage and paralyzing fear. This duality is not a flaw but a fundamental aspect of what makes life worth exploring. The act of grappling with this mystery of trying to understand oneself and others is where meaning is found. In Notes from Underground, the narrator exemplifies this struggle with the human condition. He oscillates between pride and self-loathing, independence, and a desperate desire for connection. His contradictory nature highlights the difficulty of navigating the complexities of identity and purpose. The narrator's inability to reconcile these contradictions leaves him in a state of paralysis, illustrating the danger of avoiding the journey of self-discovery. Dostoevsky suggests that it is only by engaging with these conflicts, however uncomfortable or painful, that we can grow and move closer to understanding ourselves. The idea of life as a journey also underscores the importance of self-overcoming in Dostoevsky's philosophy. He believed that people truly live only when they push beyond their limits, confront their fears, and challenge their assumptions. In Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov's journey is a powerful example of this idea. Initially, he sees himself as above moral law, capable of committing murder in pursuit of a greater good. However, the aftermath of his crime forces him to confront the darkness within himself. His path to redemption is not a straightforward one. It is marked by intense suffering, inner conflict, and moments of despair. Yet, it is through this arduous process that he begins to understand the value of humility, love, and connection. Raskolnikov's transformation illustrates that the journey of overcoming oneself, of facing one's own flaws and limitations, is essential to living a meaningful life. This concept resonates in real life, where people often face challenges that test their resilience and character. For example, consider someone who loses a job they have dedicated years to or experiences the breakdown of a significant relationship. These moments can feel like insurmountable failures, but they also present opportunities for growth and self-discovery. By navigating these difficulties, individuals often uncover new strengths, reevaluate their priorities, and find a deeper sense of purpose. Dostoevsky's works remind us that such struggles are not detours from life's journey, but integral parts of it. Dostoevsky also portrays life's journey as one of seeking harmony amidst contradictions. He does not shy away from depicting the conflicts that define human existence between reason and faith, love and hatred, freedom and responsibility. In the Brothers Karamazov, the relationships between the Karamazov brothers embody this tension. Dmitri represents passion, Ivan reason, and Alyosha faith, with each brother grappling with their own internal struggles. The interplay between their perspectives highlights the difficulty of achieving harmony, both within oneself and with others. Yet, Dostoevsky suggests that this struggle is not futile. It is through engaging with these opposing forces that individuals can develop a more nuanced understanding of themselves and the world. In many ways, this idea mirrors the journey of personal growth in modern life. People often find themselves torn between competing priorities, such as pursuing a career versus spending time with family, or balancing personal desires with societal expectations. These conflicts can feel overwhelming, but they also provide opportunities for reflection and growth. Dostoevsky's works encourage us to embrace these tensions as part of the human experience rather than viewing them as obstacles to be avoided. By doing so, we can approach life with a greater sense of curiosity and openness. Another key aspect of Dostoevsky's philosophy is his recognition that the journey of life is inherently communal. While self-discovery is an individual process, it is deeply influenced by our interactions with others. Dostoevsky believed that people cannot fully understand themselves in isolation. It is through relationships, whether with family, friends, or even adversaries, that we come to know who we are. In Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov's relationship with Sonia plays a crucial role in his redemption. Her compassion and faith provide him with a mirror through which he can see his own humanity and begin to forgive himself. This dynamic reflects Dostoevsky's belief that connection and mutual support are essential components of life's journey. In contemporary terms, this idea can be seen in the importance of community and social networks, whether through support groups, mentorship, or simply meaningful conversations. Our relationships with others help us navigate the challenges of life and discover new perspectives. For instance, someone recovering from a personal setback might find strength and inspiration in the stories of others who have faced similar struggles. This sense of shared experience reinforces Dostoevsky's view that life's journey is not meant to be traveled alone. Dostoevsky's portrayal of life as a journey also emphasizes the importance of humility. He often critiques characters who believe they have all the answers or who seek to impose their worldview on others. In the Brothers Karamazov, Ivan's intellectual arrogance isolates him from those around him and contributes to his existential despair. By contrast, Alyosha's humility allows him to approach life with an open heart and a willingness to learn. This contrast highlights Dostoevsky's belief that true wisdom comes not from certainty but from an ongoing willingness to question, explore, and grow. This perspective is particularly relevant in today's fast-paced, achievement-oriented culture. People are often pressured to define their success by measurable outcomes, such as wealth, status, or accolades. Dostoevsky's philosophy challenges this mindset, reminding us that the value of life lies not in reaching a specific destination, but in the richness of the journey itself. By focusing on the process of growth and discovery, we can find fulfillment in the act of living, regardless of external achievements. Dostoevsky's view of life as a journey also includes an element of transcendence. He believed that the search for meaning ultimately leads beyond oneself, toward a connection with something greater, whether it be God, humanity, or the universe as a whole. This idea is central to his exploration of faith, as seen in characters like Alyosha, who finds purpose in his devotion to others and his spiritual beliefs. However, Dostoevsky does not present transcendence as a final answer or an escape from life's struggles. Instead, it is a part of the journey, a source of inspiration and guidance as individuals navigate the complexities of existence. This idea is echoed in practices such as mindfulness and meditation, which encourage people to focus on the present moment while cultivating a sense of connection to the world around them. These practices align with Dostoevsky's emphasis on living fully in the present while remaining open to the mysteries and possibilities of life. Ultimately, Dostoevsky's depiction of life as a journey offers a powerful framework for understanding the human experience. By embracing the complexities, contradictions, and uncertainties of life, we can approach each moment as an opportunity for growth and discovery. His works remind us that the search for meaning is not about finding definitive answers, but about engaging with the questions themselves. In doing so, we can live more authentically, compassionately, and courageously, embracing life in all its beauty and complexity. As we come to the end of this journey through Dostoevsky's philosophy, let's pause and reflect on the immense depth of his insights. Dostoevsky didn't offer simple answers or universal solutions. Instead, he invited us to embrace the complexities of our own humanity. His works challenge us to confront our inner contradictions, to grapple with our pain, and to accept the imperfect beauty of life. They remind us that the search for meaning is not a linear path or a puzzle to solve, but a lifelong process of questioning, growing, and connecting with others. The greatest lesson we can take from Dostoevsky is this: live authentically. Don't run from your fears or your flaws, but face them head-on. Accept the chaos within you, the moments of doubt, and the uncertainty of existence. In these challenges, you'll find not only your humanity, but also the possibility of transformation. Life's meaning isn't found in perfection or success. It's discovered in the journey itself, in the messy, beautiful process of becoming. Think about the characters we've explored. Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment teaches us that redemption is possible, even after profound mistakes, if we have the courage to take responsibility and seek connection. Alyosha from the Brothers Karamazov shows us the power of faith, not as a rigid doctrine but as an act of love and hope in the face of doubt. Ivan, with his existential struggles, reminds us that questioning is not the enemy of faith but a necessary part of understanding. These characters are not just figments of Dostoevsky's imagination, they are mirrors of us, embodying the questions and conflicts that define the human experience. In a world that often pressures us to appear flawless, Dostoevsky's philosophy is a breath of fresh air. He encourages us to be vulnerable, to acknowledge our limitations, and to find strength in our shared humanity. His works remind us that love, compassion, and connection are not just ideals, they are the foundation of a meaningful life. Even in the darkest moments, Dostoevsky believed in the transformative power of these values. And that's a belief we can carry with us in our own lives, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. But let's make this conversation about more than just Dostoevsky's characters. Let's make it personal. How do we apply these lessons to our lives today? Start by asking yourself, where do I find meaning? Is it in the relationships I build? In the challenges I face? In the small, quiet moments of gratitude and reflection? Dostoevsky would remind you that meaning doesn't have to be grand or monumental. It can be as simple as a kind gesture, a heartfelt conversation, or the decision to keep moving forward despite uncertainty. Now, as we close this video, I want to invite you to take a moment to think about your own journey. What questions are you wrestling with? What parts of your story feel unresolved? Remember, Dostoevsky's greatest gift to us is not a roadmap but a reminder. It's okay to not have all the answers. The search itself is where life's richest experiences lie. And as you navigate this search, know that you are not alone. We're all on this journey together, grappling with the same questions, the same hopes, and the same struggles. If you found value in exploring these ideas today, I encourage you to take the next step, dive deeper into Dostoevsky's works, or explore other great thinkers who have wrestled with the same timeless questions. Let this be the start of a conversation, not the end. Share your thoughts in the comments below. How has Dostoevsky's philosophy resonated with you? What lessons have you drawn from his works? I'd love to hear your insights and experiences. And before you go, don't forget to show your support for this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really helps us reach more people who are searching for deeper meaning in their lives. Share this video with friends or family who you think would appreciate these ideas. Let's spread the wisdom of Dostoevsky and spark more conversations about what it means to truly live. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have so many more thought-provoking discussions and explorations coming your way, and I'd hate for you to miss them. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Dostoevsky's philosophy. It's been an honor to share these ideas with you, and I hope they've inspired you as much as they've inspired me. Remember, life is not about having all the answers. It's about asking the questions, embracing the struggles, and finding beauty in the complexity of it all. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep connecting. See you in the next video.